Rameem1362 says, have you ever made or repaired an exoskeleton or equivalent? No. No. I have seen lots of amazing executions of exoskeletons. I've seen Edge of Tomorrow cosplay out in the field. I've seen, right, that's the Tom Cruise. Oh, right, there's also the Matt Damon from not Oblivion. It's Neil Blomkamp, Jodie Foster. It's their Elysium. Norm points to the sky because like the place in the sky. Elysium, yes. Elysium has an exoskeleton. No, I have not. But I have an exoskeleton. I have a story to tell you. Thing one. Schools had a way of falling out around thing one. Let's just put it that way. I'm borrowing a line from Arlo Guthrie's movie from Alice's Restaurant, where he said, colleges had a way of falling out around me. This is the case with thing one. Schools fell out around him. And at one point, we offered him a boarding school, specifically the Putney School in Vermont. And he accepted, and he went to the Putney School, and it's a beautiful campus, beautiful school. And he did not graduate from Putney. Again, schools had a way of falling out around him. But I visited there several times. And near there is a truly spectacular hardware store. I can't remember the exact town it's in next to Putney, or it might even be Putney. I know your Vermonters are probably pissed off at me for getting this wrong. But anyway, there's an amazing hardware store right there near the Putney School. And of course, I had heard about it. My friends Bob and Eileen lived there, and they had told me about it. And so the first time I visited the boy at Putney, one of my side quests was go visit the hardware store. So I go to the hardware store, and truthfully, it is a terrific hardware store. It's one of those like really expansive places in a small town. So it just feels like, oh, I love that feeling. Everyone behind the counter knows everyone who's shopping there. The equivalent in San Francisco was and might still be Frederickson's Hardware over in the Marina District. Frederickson's Hardware is a San Francisco institution, and it feels very similar to that. So it's surprising to find such a great hardware store in a small town. And I pick up some hand tools, some little things. I never leave a hardware store empty-handed. And I'm in line. And as I'm in line with my stuff, this person says, excuse me. And I look over, and there's this like 9 or 10-year-old boy here. And he's holding a whole bunch of pieces of hardware store aluminum and steel, like the long 3-foot and 4-foot pieces that you can get in those upright bins. And he's holding like 20 of them in a bag of stuff. And he says, pardon me, are you Adam Savage? And I said, yes, I am. He said, I wanted you to know that I'm a big fan of your work. And I said, well, thank you. Thank you, little man. I really appreciate that. And he's like, what brings you to Putney, Vermont? I swear he talked this way. It's wonderful. And I told him, and I then inquired to this young man what he was building with the stuff. And he said, I'm making an exoskeleton. Which is like, I was like, am I being punked? Is Ashton Kutcher going to come out from behind? Like, this is ridiculous. Amazing that I'm next to this young man who is making an exoskeleton. I said, what do you... Tell me what's the reason. And he's like, for my grandpa to help him use the chainsaw. I want him to help him lift it. I never found out how that exoskeleton did. So if you know that young man, and you know what turned out with his exoskeleton experiments, I would love to know the answer to that. Oh my God, such a delight. Eleanor Grimes asks if I have watched the Murderbot Diaries, and if so, what did I think of Buster? Or does it make me think of Buster in a new light? Ha! I love the Murderbot Diaries. I love the books, and I really enjoyed the show. I think the books are so hard to film. I spent a lot of time watching, in my mind, ideas about how to film these books as I read through them. Because the first book is, as you said, the most recent season was effectively the first book of the Murderbot Diaries, which is like a novella, an ideal size to make a movie out of. Those of you who have read further know, like I do, that if they go sequentially, the next plot introduces a completely non-human character that will also be very hard to film. Specifically, within the books, Murderbot is constantly, as half computer, half human, he's constantly interacting with both, with different parts of his brain. And you are getting, because it's all first person, you're getting his or their proprioception about the world. And they're using all the data at their disposal to give them that proprioception. So they're hacking into the computers that are monitoring the doors and the windows, and they're hacking into the camera systems across whatever space station they're in, and they're watching all the feeds at once because they've got this big computer brain, and they can apply that kind of, those processing cycles to this data and give themselves a tremendous advantage over any opponent because they can watch every hallway coming all at once. And I thought, how are you ever going to film this? Oh, and then Murderbot also has drones all over their bodies that they send out to give them extra proprioception. I thought, how are they going to film this? Well, I mean, the producers, they only have one drone in the first season. And I understand that. I understand why you have to pick and choose what you end up chronicling. But for a minute, I was thinking that Murderbot would be one of the more ideal plots to translate to a VR viewing experience. Because I could imagine that you could almost give a person in VR, I mean, like, this is how Norm Chan edits the videos for Tessa's. He puts on the vision and he's got all his screens around. I could imagine a narrative where what I'm seeing is huge amounts of camera data, but arranged in such a way that I am getting a little bit of what Murderbot can see. I am gaining a little proprioception about the conflict that is coming and understanding it. I feel like that would be a thrilling experience for the viewer. But again, you know, you make a show like this. My other issue was Murderbot was Sarsgaard is so masculine and so beautiful. That it wasn't at all what I had thought of as the character of Murderbot. The books do a really good job of not landing on either side of any kind of gender spectrum about what Murderbot looks like. And so I had a much more androgyne vision in my head. I'm just going to finish my Murderbot discussion with saying I love the central idea, which to me, the central idea of Murderbot is that if you want to augment computers with the processing power of the human brain, you can do it, but you're going to get a lot of depression and anxiety as a side effect of that. And I'm like, yeah, that checks out. That sounds exactly right. Did it make me think of Buster in a new light? It did not. I mean, Buster is a very fun character on the show. I have a great affection for the idea of Buster. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the way to describe it. Like duct tape. I can't stand duct tape. I would never use it unless it was the only tape at my disposal. It rots, it stiffens, it hardens, it leaves stuff on the stuff you tape it on. It's not a great material. However, I love duct tape as a metaphor. I love restrictions. I love solving problems under restrictions like deadlines and materials and even space to work in. Duct tape is fabulous for that. And by the same token, sorry, I just lost my plot for a second.
Buster.
Oh, right, Buster. By the same token, Buster is a beautiful stand-in for a collaborator willing to do anything. Right? Buster is the Beaker of Mythbusters. And yeah, Beaker is a reluctant collaborator. I like to imagine that Buster was was more with the game, understood his charge. Yeah, I still have one of his hands, and I still have his face. Thank you for watching. I wanted to talk to you about tested membership. The tested members are a key community that we find really, really remarkable. That's very separate from tested and from YouTube. The tested members, they buy each other memberships during our live streams. So if you're wondering whether to become a member, watch one of our live streams and someone may just give you one. It is hard to overestimate how much the tested members actually make possible on this channel. They give us a lot of wiggle room. They give us a huge amount of feedback.
That's a member right now.
Thank you so much for enjoying your membership. For everything you need to know. And for all the members out there, thank you, thank you, thank you.